Thanks for joining this contemporary Epic Reads event. My name is Farrah Penn. I am an editor with Buzzfeed Books, and I'm going to be the moderator here today. Just a few quick things before we get started. Thank you so much to powerHouse Books for partnering with Epic Reads for this excellent event. We're really excited. For anyone who orders any of these authors' books through powerHouse Books from right now until March 16th, you will receive a free $10 gift card to powerHouse Books. And trust me, after this conversation, you're going to want to buy these books anyway, so might as well get a $10 gift card out of it. We'll share that link here in the comments. And there's one more thing. You can win a $75 gift card to powerHouse Books by commenting #sweepstakes entry in the comments and letting us know what your favorite winter read is. So that's that. I'm going to kick off this conversation by letting these authors introduce themselves. We'll kind of start with like top row and then going to the bottom row, starting with Maria.
Thank you, powerHouse Books and Epic Reads for having us. So excited to be here. So I am Maria. My book is Love in English. It's the story of Anna, who comes over to the United States and doesn't speak much English. And it's the story of what that feels like for the first year, based on my own experiences of being a non-native English speaker. And there's a love story, so there's kissing and fun stuff like that, but also this story of assimilation.
Hi, I'm next. Okay. Hello, I am so excited to be here with everyone tonight. My name is Elise Bryant, and I am the debut author of Happily Ever Afters, which came out in January. It is the story of Tessa Johnson, who is a 16-year-old romance writer, and she gets hit with a case of writer's block in this book. So her and her best friend Caroline come up with a ridiculous 11-step plan to make Tessa's life into a romance novel in order to help her refill the well.
Hi, I'm Katy Henry. My most recent book is This Will Be Funny Someday, and it's about Izzy, a 16-year-old girl who feels generally pretty unheard in her life at home, at school, and in her relationship with her boyfriend. That is until she starts a secret double life as a stand-up comedian.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming, and I'm so excited to be here. My name is Monica Gomez-Hira, and my book is Once Upon a Quinceañera, which is about 18-year-old Carmen Aguilar. And this summer, after she graduated from high school, she missed getting her diploma by that much, so she has to do a summer internship as a party princess, where she is promptly paired by with her beastly ex and forced to work her cousin's extravagant quinceañera.
Oh, excellent. So I'm going to kick off this conversation by asking each of these authors a little bit more about their books so we can just get to know them a little bit better. And then I'll kind of end it with more questions geared towards everyone. But yeah, I would love to start with Katy. This Will Be Funny Someday is about a girl discovering the world of comedy. But you have also gracefully written about privilege and sexism in the industry and gaslighting and family relationships. There is so much detailed information about the comedy world in your book. And so I want to know, do you have a background in comedy, or did this require a lot of research? And secondly, what made you want to explore some of these deeper topics?
Yeah, so I have never been a stand-up comedian, but I have had a lot of friends who are stand-up comedians. Before I wrote YA books, I was a playwright, and that's what I went to school for. I went to school for dramatic writing, so a lot of my classmates wanted to be screenwriters or TV writers, and that's what most of them ended up doing. So I felt like I was always adjacent to that world, though not quite in it. So luckily, I had a lot of people that I could ask very detailed questions about the comedy world. I did cheat a little bit. So if you actually are a stand-up comedian, I'm sorry, some of this is not accurate. Something that I did have to do research for, though, is exactly how stand-up comedy sets are structured and what goes into actually writing a bit and constructing these sets. And I have so much, I already had respect for all my favorite stand-up comedians, but I have even more now because it was really, really hard. And I will not do it again.
Oh, that's so interesting to know, because even in the book there is like a section where you write like a stand-up comedy for your character. So I was like, oh, she mustn't have done this before.
Yeah, no, I really loved stand-up comedy. And I thought, it's so weird that there are no books about stand-up comedy. And then I started writing one already under contract and quickly realized why there are no books about stand-up comedy. It is very hard to get it to translate to the written word. And that was actually, I think my biggest struggle in this book was figuring out how to make it still seem true to stand-up comedy while writing the jokes in ways that would still make sense and still be funny when you were reading them on the page.
Gosh, excellent. Okay, I would like to move this next question over to Monica. You have written such a voice-driven novel in your character with Carmen. She's funny and she's quick with her comebacks, but she's also going through a lot. She doesn't get along with her younger cousin, Ariana. She's forced to work her quinceañera with her enemy, and she can't quit because if she quits, she doesn't graduate. So that's a lot of tension right off the bat. I would love to hear you talk about the initial spark for this idea and if any of it was inspired by your own life.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for that. And as far as inspired by my own life, I've actually never had a quinceañera, but I've attended many of them. So I think that was sort of the initial spark that made me think, oh, this would be sort of a good sort of backdrop for a story, because it has a little bit of everything as far as coming of age situations go, with characters and with family and larger than life drama. And as far as sort of the kind of characters that I wanted to write, I mean, it was important for me to write Carmen in a very sort of voicey way, like you said, because I really wanted all of her myriad emotions to come across on the page, because she really was inspired by so many of the women in my life who are just characters in search of a book, honestly. Like, they're just moving through the world, giving the universe their opinions, whether they're asked for or not. And it was fun to just create a character like that on the page.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you say you kind of take it from people that you know in your own life, which I think, writers often do, write what you know.
Well, I mean, a hodgepodge of everyone. I don't want anybody to come after me.
Okay, I would like to move my next question to Elise. Happily Ever Afters is a unapologetic YA romance that features a Black lead who has rarely seen herself reflected in the pages of the romance novels that she really, really loves. But it's also about Tessa feeling like she doesn't fit in, and the anxiety that she feels around writing in general. What drew you to exploring both of these things?
Yeah, I mean, Tessa isn't me, but a lot of her story is mine, I guess. So I grew up just like her, I loving romance novels. I love Sarah Dessen. I love Meg Cabot. I love so many of these authors, and I still do. I still love their work. But I never could see myself in these stories. I always wanted them, but I never could find them. And so I, just like Tessa, I wrote a lot of these stories myself. I started writing love stories with a girl that looked like me. And so that's why when I decided to write this novel, I was like, well, that would be a good thing to write about, and it's like the two layers of it. I'm writing about a girl that's trying to see herself. And then also by creating this character, I am doing that for myself and for our readers now. And then as far as the anxiety, imposter syndrome, I mean, that's all from my life too. And still now, now that I have a book out, I still feel those same, worries and anxieties about people reading my book. If my work is important, like Tessa worries her work is not important. so yeah, writing the book was kind of like my therapy, like a long therapy session that's still going on now.
Oh, I love that. And finally, Maria, I'm sorry, Maria, in Love and English, Anna has just moved from Argentina to New Jersey, and she's struggling to learn English. I thought you did something very interesting in the book, which was using the pound or hashtag, whatever you call it, sign to block out sentences or words that she doesn't quite grasp the first time around. I would love to know what led you to this stylistic choice, and why did you want to explore a story about communication and love?
So as I mentioned when I introed the book, having had the experience, I really grappled when the idea came to me. I really grappled with how do you write about the experience of learning English in English, right? Like there's just an inherent, how does that happen? And so with the understanding that there had to be some concessions, because obviously you wanted to communicate with readers, I still wanted readers to be able to have a glimpse into the experience, right? Like the first page is in Spanish. It's her saying your life depends on understanding this, and then the rest of it is in Spanish. And that's a feeling I remember very much having, sitting in a classroom and thinking, I was younger than Anna is, but I remember I was old enough to remember I was 8, and I remember thinking like, is this just going to be life now? Like, am I just never going to know what's going on? And so I wanted the reader, without alienating the reader with too much stuff they couldn't understand and therefore couldn't follow, I wanted the reader to have the same experience as the protagonist of what it is like to want to engage. She's a poet. She was a poet back home, and she wants to engage and feel and write about the things that she thinks about. But there's this block for her, and how she moves through that. So yeah.
I think like the beauty in all of your answers and all of these stories that you've written is that like at least some part of it, whether it's big or small, has come from like a personal experience. And I think that's what makes contemporary so special, and why I personally love reading it so much. I have some more just like open-ended questions for you guys, just more general questions. I think this might be a fun one. You all have excellent titles for your books. I would love to know, were these the original titles or did they change at all?
Mine was not the first title that I came up with. I think I delivered my editor like 20 titles with like increasingly funny, and they were all so bad. But I knew I wanted it to be like sort of a funny title in some way. So it was just like a ton of puns, and then this one at the end. And he was like, "Yeah, well, you finally got it in the end. We're gonna go."
My
Monica,
title.
I have to. Sorry. No, you go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I have to. Please let me live my fantasy through you that this book was born as Once Upon a Quinceañera, because that is such a perfect title. Like, I just want to believe it sprung fully formed.
Yes, I will give that to you, because that has always been the title, because it fits so perfectly with the fairy tale elements and the Beauty and the Beast. And obviously I wanted Quinceañera in the title. So that was always the title.
That's fantastic.
I love it so much. My Happily Ever Afters was always the title too. I think I gave it that either like very early in drafting or like before I even started drafting. I don't know, it felt like it fit with her, you know, chasing after what this happy ending that she thought she wanted, but then she realizes throughout the book that there's so many different happily ever afters in her life.
That's lovely. Yeah, no, Love in English was not the original title. It sold as English. And then somewhere along the line after it sold, someone was like, you know, people are going to wonder if it's like a grammar textbook or something, you know, like we're going to have to say a little bit more. And so it was a collaborative effort. And I'm sitting here trying to remember who ultimately came up with Love in English. Like there were emails going back and forth. How about this? How about that? And then finally we landed on it. And I love it because it kind of covers the themes, right? There's love and there's, you know, the acquisition of the English language. So it worked out.
Oh, so fascinating. So you all are writers. And I think like, no matter how long you've been doing this, you have received some advice, good or bad. But I want to know, like, what is one piece of advice that you've kept with you because you thought it was so good that it's actually like helped you within your career?
We're all like, wow. I mean, there's just so much, right, that you hear as a writer that's of value, and you kind of like piece it together, right? And I think if I had to pick one, it was don't give up. And if you've seen me on a panel before, you've heard me say this before. I think that's the crucial thing. You know, it can be discouraging, and it can be like a long road, and there's this hurdle and then the next hurdle, and you have to keep going over them. And at some point you just have to decide you're never going to stop. And then that it takes a lot of the, I don't want to say it takes the choice out of it, but it takes some of the, like, I'm just going to do this, you know, whether 1 million people read or 2 people read, I'm just going to keep going. And ultimately that helps you get through the hurdles.
A piece of advice I got that I still totally follow is to have a life outside of writing. And I remember when I first got it, I was like, what do you mean? I already do have a life outside of writing. Fine. But when you're lucky enough to have a book deal, it sort of does feel like your entire life becomes writing. And suddenly there are all these new writing friends. And your life just feels so focused on this in some ways that it's good to remember that there is a world and a life, and you have relationships outside of this. And I think it also helps when you sort of feel like your entire worth is now tied to your writing, and remembering that you have worth to people who have no idea what Goodreads is and do not care is such a valuable thing.
I think for me, it's a little bit like something Elise said about Tessa experiencing questions about whether her book was important. I think one piece of advice was that important can look many different ways. It can be important to write something frothy and happy that is a mirror or a window for somebody to be able to see themselves. It can be important to write something that is just about joy, that doesn't have to be intense, or is intense in maybe different ways. And I know that I struggled with that working on this book. And it's a piece of advice that I carry with me, that it's important. It's important to read happy things too sometimes, and write happy things.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, something that a friend who debuted last year told me is that, I mean, to not lose sight of like why I'm doing this and the work, you know, because it could be so up and down. So much is out of your control. And like, I don't know about you all, but like debut month was insane. Well, you're still in it, Monica, yeah. But like it was so hard for me, just like emotionally, you know, and so my friend, she told me just like, you know, come back to the page and why you do this. And for me, it's like just sitting down and writing brings me so much joy. It makes me so happy. So I have to come back to that when I'm like, yeah, someone decides to like email me their bad review or some other terrible thing that happened. You know?
Helpful. Thank you.
I'm happy when I write, and I have to remember that, you know.
These are all excellent pieces of advice. Such little gems. I love it. What to each of you, is one thing that you love about writing in this contemporary genre?
Well, I mean, so I was a high school teacher for many years. So for me, one thing I love about this is just getting to, I mean, when I was a teacher, I got to hang out with teenagers all day, and they're just so like joyful and hilarious and resilient. And I have so much respect for teenagers. So to be able to put these stories out there and get to, you know, go through those years over and over again that were terrible and also wonderful for me. That's something I love about this. Did you say what we don't like too? I don't remember what the question was.
Oh no, it's just like what you love about it. We can also talk about what you don't like.
Well, that's what I love. I love writing wonderful teenagers.
Oh, I love that.
Something I really like is being able to take, aspects of my own adolescence and high school years, because, I've never slayed a dragon, but I have been a high school girl. So being able to take these things that are, really important to me and be able to adapt them for people who are not of my generation, and be able to tell stories that would have mattered to me then, and I hope get to matter to somebody too in the context of their own generation and their own life.
I think piggybacking off of that for me is that I love writing sort of all of those intense firsts that you feel as a teenager, first love, first crush, first heartbreak, first ambitious moment, sometimes first failure, like first significant failure. And I like the purity and the intensity of that. And I've also never slayed a dragon, but let me tell you, sometimes walking down the hall can feel like slaying a dragon.
So true.
Just as hard. Just as hard. Yeah, all of what everyone said, for sure. I second all of that. And also I think the privilege of getting to connect with teen readers, right? It's just so amazing. Like when you start to get those emails, like I read your book and it mattered to me because you have this, like my family is going through something similar, or like somebody, a writing acquaintance tweeted at me today that somebody she's a writer and a librarian, and somebody had gone into her library and asked for my book. And I was like, day made, like a reader is going to read this story, these like thoughts that I poured onto a page. It's really so wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, great answers.
That's the best feeling.
That's the best feeling, yes.
Because we write these books that like we needed when we were younger, but in doing that, we're creating the stories that other people need too. I get the same emails, like they just make me like burst into tears, because it's like, they're like, this is the first time I've seen myself, and the fact that that we're all creating that for someone is just, it's magic.
Yeah. I would love to know, during the editing process, things get added, things get cut, everything gets copy edited. Was there a scene or a character or even like a little part of the story, your stories, that got cut that you either wish made it in, or maybe you're like, oh, I'm glad that we decided to cut that?
I'm always glad. I at the moment, I'm like, no, I can never let this go. Because I'm such an overwriter. I write way too much. But my editor is always right. I've learned that she's always right. And when she takes things out, one thing is funny is Sam's like zip off khakis. I forget, there was like some back and forth, like, should we keep that? Is Tessa making fun of his pants too much? But we kept the zip off khakis in the book.
I love
and
that.
back before like we knew that we would be home for all this stuff, I remember my editor was like, oh, maybe we should all wear those to like the launch or something. maybe in the future one day.
I like to joke with my editor that for every book, because this is my third book with him, for every book, he makes me remove one unnecessary male character. And that happened in this third book. But something that got cut that I really, really loved, it did not advance the plot at all, which is why it got cut. But there's a moment where my main character goes to the Art Institute in Chicago, and she sees this sculpture of Joan of Arc, it's this really, really beautiful sculpture. And she just has this moment reflecting on how simultaneously like scared and brave this teenage girl who is about to, die, looks, and it spurs her on to her next moment of being very scared and very brave and very young. And I wish we could have kept that, but alas.
I had a scene that I really loved. It also did not advance the plot, and also my editor is always right. And I love
we have the
so
same
much.
Editor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So at a certain point, like, yes, you're right. But so it was pre-prom, right? Before the prom, there's this, and it's based on something that they do here in the town where I live, where they set up this really elaborate set of like backgrounds, and the kids go and stand in front of them and take selfies, and like it's this whole event. The whole town is there, and all the parents are there, and it's this wonderful thing. And I was like, this, I just need this to be on a page somewhere. It's just such a fantastic thing. And it was like, yeah, but what actually happens here except like selfies? And I was like, oh. So it's in my computer somewhere, but it's not in the book.
I'm a huge overwriter, so there's probably another novel and a half at some point that got cut, various drafts. One thing that changed, and my editor also always right, she, not to go too spoilery, but my character has daddy issues, to say the least. And there are questions around her father that took one sort of answer in one of the drafts, and then my editor said, let's change it. So sorry to be so utterly vague, but she was right. That's all you need to know.
Oh, this is so interesting. Just after reading all of your books, I'm like, little things that could have been, but had their reasons for not existing in the current novel form. I think I have time for one more question before we move it to audience questions. And I hope this is a fun one for you. Did you guys add any Easter eggs or like private jokes in your novel that like you and maybe family or friends would understand, or something that just sort of like is a nod to your real life?
Places for me, because my novel is set in Miami. And I've spent a lot of time in Miami. My parents live there. They've retired there. So just fun places where we love to get coffee, or like the best Cuban food and things like that. And also just little Easter eggs of naming people sort of after people in my life that I knew and that certain other people would know and could have a little private giggle about, hopefully, when they read the book.
There's a lot in my book, a lot. One is, the character of Miles is based a lot on my older brother, Brian, and he loves NSYNC. NSYNC is like his favorite thing in the world. That's why the dedication is an NSYNC song, one of his favorite songs. But yeah, the whole like Dream Zone is based on NSYNC. The fan fiction that Tessa used to write, I used to write boy band fan fiction too, so that's all from my life. And then also I added things in later to set up things in book 2. So that was, that's in there too.
I added an Easter egg for people who had read my previous book, which not even my editor caught, which is why I was allowed to keep it. Not to spoil anything, if you have read my second book, Let's Call It a Doomsday, a character from this book shows up in This Will Be Funny Someday, and I am so glad that it stayed in.
I love it.
That's so amazing. So I have decided that every book that I publish is going to have a library in it. Like, even if they drive by it or walk by it or go into it. And so I don't know, I live in constant dread that I'm going to forget that one day, and then the book is going to go to press. I'll be like, I forgot the library. But anyway, so far so good. And there's a scene in there that takes place in a library for that reason.
Oh, love this. This is so interesting to hear. So fun. Okay, I think we can move to like audience questions now, and I think they're gonna like just magically appear in front of us. Ask the authors a question in the comments if you have one. And I guess until we get a question, I'll just ask like what's next for all of you guys until we get these audience questions going.
My second book comes out, I think, in January. I don't know. I think so. And it is a companion novel. I think that's the right word. A companion novel to Happily Ever Afters. It's called One True Love. And it takes the character of Lenore, who's one of Tessa's best friends in this book, and it's her love story now.
Aww.
And I'm excited for people to read it.
Nice.
In theory, my fourth book comes out next summer. ? The pandemic tried real hard to have this book not exist at all, but I think it's actually going to happen, and I think it's going to be, I guess we'll see. It's, in theory, a mystery.
Ooh.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I'm still working on book 2. I have no idea when it comes out, but it will. It will come out. I'm beginning to get cryptic notes from my editor about it's time to talk about schedule, and I'm just like, really? I sort of was hoping I could bask in the glory of being a debut for 5 more minutes, but no, right.
So I have my next book fully drafted. No one's going to see it just yet because drafted does not mean presentable, but and there's a love quadrangle, and there's all kinds of fun stuff. So I'm super excited about it. It comes out next year, but I guess I already probably said more than I'm supposed to, but yeah, something's in the works.
Yay.
Oh, I love these. All of you have books next year. That's exciting.
Yep.
Okay, we have a question from Sarah Jane. Do you write an outline before you start writing a book, or do you write as you go? That's a great question.
I use an outline. I can't function without an outline. Like, I can't even write a first chapter until I know everything. I mean, it changes as it goes, but I can't write until I know everything that's going to happen in a book. And I probably spend longer, dreaming a book, coming up with the idea, writing an outline than I do drafting it. Like, that part takes me the longest.
So I am so this is the classic pantser or plotter question, right? So do you write by the seat of your pants or do you plot? I am at my heart a pantser. So I get a brand new shiny idea and I'm like, oh, shiny. And I just start going. I'm so happy. It's the most brilliant thing I've ever written, possibly that has ever been written. I'm like, and then I get to chapter 3. I'm like, what is going on? I have no idea what's going on. Why did I start doing this? And then I have learned the wisdom of writing an outline. And so usually after that initial fever breaks, then I go back and I really plug it into the 3-act structure and I figure out what is this character about, and then I realize that the first 3 chapters have to go, and then I start really writing.
Yeah, that's a little bit similar to my process. I will start writing just sort of whatever in a draft, and then I will write until I get to a point where I don't know what happens next. And then I'll sit down and I'll plot as far ahead as I can see, and then I'll write until I get to a part where I don't know. I'm sort of like a car that keeps hitting the brakes when I draft. So eventually, if I can see the whole rest of the story, then I will just plow straight ahead. But usually I'm sort of writing in bursts and then plotting in bursts right ahead of it.
I usually have point A and point C and have no idea how to get from the beginning to the end. I have the premise and the characters and I have the ending, and what happens in between there, no one knows. It's great to work with me. I'm excellent.
Yeah, at least you have your ending.
Yeah. I feel like that's half the battle.
Pamela has this question. How do you get past writer's block? Another great question.
Well, I don't make a 11-point happily ever after list like Tessa. I think for me it's reading. That's where I get a lot of my inspiration. Just and not just YA romance. I read pretty much every YA romance, but I also just murder mysteries and middle grade and just reading everything. That's where I get a lot of my. That's why I read things and I'm like, this is so beautiful. And then it gives me inspiration to keep working on whatever I'm working on.
I like to go for walks. I find that really, really helps just to not be sitting at the computer and not have the option of sitting at the computer if I'm, in the park. And, inevitably I say, I'm not even going to think about it at all. And then midway through the walk, I start thinking about it. And by the time I'm home, I have some idea of what I'm going to do next. I
like playlists. Music is really important in my process. So if I'm blocked, I start to fool around with potential playlists, different songs, putting them in different order. And I'm a big proponent of just free writing. So I will literally just open a document and just write to myself everything that I know about the story until I get to a point where I feel like, oh, I can move on. I know enough that I can write now.
Yeah, to piggyback, I'm pointing in the wrong direction. To piggyback off what Elise said, I mean, reading really does it for me too. And sometimes definitely reading novels works, but also reading craft books for me. Books about plot structure or the emotional craft of fiction is one of my favorites. But I love the idea of like kind of crawling into the engine of what makes story work. And then once I'm reading about it that way, then that starts to kind of apply to my own, plot. And so that can sometimes like give me a bit of a boost to get going again.
Great answers. We have a question from Rachel Stroll. If you could have your book adapted into anything, graphic novel, TV show, interpretive dance, what would you want it to be? Thanks, Rachel.
Yes, all of the above.
Where's Netflix? I want,
You and me, we understand each other.
Yes.
Definitely, I would want, if not a short series, at least a movie. Definitely something in the vein of To All the Boys, just that vibe, with a lot of music and a lot of dancing and a lot of soap opera-ness. That would be ideal for me.
Your book would make such a good movie. Okay, the scene where I don't want to give like a spoiler, but like the scene where he gives her the dress,
Oh, yes.
I like died. I threw my book across the room. And I was like, oh, it was such a good moment, and to see that in a movie would be so good.
Fingers crossed.
Molly is having like such a moment on Netflix and these TV shows that, where are you executives? I hope they're watching.
Yeah.
I assume they are.
Hello, Netflix, we're calling.
Please, I'm here.
We are all here.
Okay, this next question is from Tiffany. I would love to know if you have any rituals or superstitions when you sit down to write. Another good question.
I like wearing my beads. I feel like I'm complete and ready to go when I put my beads on. I
light a candle every time I write. And then I have like this essential oil that I put on my wrists at the beginning of every session too.
Oh, what's the scent?
I don't even know. It has patchouli, some other stuff. Here it is. But I always put this on my wrist and it helps me to get focused. And then I put on nature sounds too.
I have a super embarrassing one, which is that I only listen to 2 albums on repeat as I write. And I've only listened to the same 2 albums since I was a teenager, like trying to write for the first time. And the embarrassing thing is that they're both by Green Day. American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown. And in my defense, there's not a lot of defense, but in my defense, I was 14 in 2004 when American Idiot came out. And so it's like the thing that gets me into the teenage mindset. And I don't know why I keep telling people this. This definitely should have been a secret I took to my grave, but now you don't know.
No, we know.
Oh, I feel like mine is so boring compared to all of yours. I have to make myself coffee or acquire coffee in some way. Back when we could go to coffee shops, I would get myself some coffee. And I can't write without liquid for some reason. I think because I know that once I get to the end of it, then I have an excuse to get up and make more liquid. So that's my ritual.
Oh, I love all these. Okay, another question from Paige. If you were to write anything other than contemporary, what would you choose and why?
Ooh, pick me. I am really, really aching to publish fantasy. I was going to say write fantasy. I've written a ton of fantasy. The stars need to align, but I love fantasy. I love what you can explore in fantasy worlds, like questions of our own world, like looked at in new and different ways. And so that's a goal. I'm really hoping to publish some fantasy.
I would really like to do historical. I really, really love history. And if you read my books, there will be some weird history fact tucked in there because I can't help myself. But I've been trying for the first time, trying out a historical project, and it's so hard because I'm so used to contemporary where like I know what they eat for breakfast, but it's historical. It's like a Wikipedia rabbit hole of like, okay, well, what did someone eat for breakfast in 1907? I don't know. Better spend like 3 hours on the internet figuring it out.
I'm not a plotter, so this might definitely stay in the realm of wishing and never actually happening. But I would love to write a heist novel. I would love to write about a group of scrappy people who've never met, who are forced to work together, common goal, something like Six of Crows. That would be so fun to write.
I don't know if I could write anything other than contemporary. I don't know if I have the brain for it, to like the galaxy brain to like figure out all these different parts of a world. I think I might want to write like a mystery maybe far later down the line, but I don't know if I could go outside of contemporary.
For all of these, just a quick follow-up question. Would it be within the YA genre or would it be like adult for?
Why?
YA.
Middle grade.
Middle grade.
Yeah, I'd like to do middle grade maybe, or like a chapter book. I don't know. I don't think I could write adult because I can't. My dad would freak out if I had a sex scene in my book.
The kissing scenes are already bad enough, right? Yeah. I thought, you don't need to read page 98. It's fine.
Marie, would your fantasy be adult fantasy or YA fantasy?
The ones that I have tinkered with have all been YA so far.
Oh, so fun. Okay, moving on to this question from Kay. Which one of your characters would you want to spend the day with?
Probably Sam. Oh, like we keep talking over each other. Sorry. I think Sam because he can bake, and that would be a good way to spend the day.
Just during that description when he's like, this is how you do the butter and it turns brown and the nutty flavor, I was like, oh, I need this. I need this in my life.
And this will be funny someday. Izzy gets sort of brought into the comedy world by a girl named Mo, and I would definitely want to spend the day with her because she's just like so cool. I feel like half the time I construct characters because I do want to hang out with them and wish I could in real life, and she is definitely an example of that.
I think I would want to hang out with Carmen's best friend, Waverly, just because she's really easygoing, she's really funny, and she's sort of up for anything. And I like that. I think we'd go to the beach and then we'd go get cafecitos and we would be so happy together.
Also to be able to call someone Wave the way that Wave. Like, Wave. I want a friend named Wave. That's amazing. I would want to hang out with Anna's best friend, Tu Altagracia. She's just, I think, we probably write a lot of best friends because they sound like people we'd want to hang out with. She's so just like comfortable in her own skin and she's got goals and she drives carefully, which I really like about her. I'll get in a car with her. So that's who I'd want to hang out with.
Excellent answers. Okay, we have the question from Caitlin. Do you have a favorite book or favorite author? Another great question.
That's like trying to choose a favorite child.
Yeah.
I don't have children, so I don't know. Oh, man.
It's too hard to narrow down. Oh, no, I was saying it's hard.
Right now? Does that make sense? Like, a favorite right now? Maybe. I don't know if that helps or makes it more confusing.
It makes it worse, yeah.
I'm really loving Tana French right now. If you do like mysteries, her Dublin Murder Squad series is super, super fun. Especially if you have lived in Ireland for a small part of your life, which I have, and know that Dublin has no murder squad, which just makes it even better. It doesn't even exist.
That's amazing.
I have a lot of favorite authors. I love Becky. Becky Albertalli is amazing. Everything she writes is perfect. I love Brandy Colbert. Yeah. And they both blurred my book, which is like I'll never get over, because it's like, how do you ask like your heroes to read your book, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I would say probably. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was just going to babble, so you please.
I was just going to say probably my favorites are Sarah Dessen, because reading her is really what brought me to YA as a possibility of something that I could write. I also love Jenny Han. I love Sarah Zarr. I love A.S. King. I also love Becky Albertalli. So yeah, I love so many YA authors. And of course, whenever anybody asks that question, your brain instantly freezes and you do the deer in headlights thing. And it's like, I've never read a book ever by anyone.
Yeah, that's sort of what's going on with me right now. I really like post-apocalyptic fiction. So I'm reading The Electric Kingdom right now, and that's fantastic. And probably my favorite post-apocalyptic story of all time is Station 11. So those are the ones that are coming to mind. But of course, everyone has mentioned is amazing too. So it's hard to pick. It's a really hard question.
It is. Becky is so great. I just finished Kate in Waiting, which is her book that comes out, I think, next month.
Good.
And it's so
good.
Cute. Yeah, love it.
And I feel like Sarah Dessen has influenced a whole like generation.
Absolutely.
YA romance authors.
Yes. I want to know when her next book is coming out.
Me too.
Okay, a question from Mackenzie. What are some of the other books that inspired you to become a writer?
I mean, Sarah Dessen. The way she writes girls, like they're allowed to be messy. They're allowed to make mistakes in her books. I think, I feel like I've already mentioned her before, even this too. I love her books, and she's someone that made me fall in love with romance, and made me want to write books like her.
For me, it's Julia Alvarez, How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents, and also her book, Yo, because that was really the first time that I thought, oh, I can sound like myself on the page. I can sound like the people I grew up around on the page. And that's okay. That's literature also. Because I think before that, I mean, I've been writing my whole life. And before that, I think I always wanted to sound like a 65-year-old British man or something. It took a while before I realized that I could just sound like myself, and that would be okay. That'd be good.
I think the book that inspired me to start writing specifically funny YA, because I read a lot of YA, but I think a lot of it was really serious, and what convinced me that you could do funny YA was this book next to me somehow, Youth in Revolt. There was a really, really bad movie with Michael Cera a few years ago. You don't need to watch it. But I still remember checking that book out of the public library in my hometown and discovering to my delight that not only was the protagonist like super funny, but the book took place in my hometown, and a pivotal moment is him going on a rampage and accidentally burning down half of my hometown. And I thought it was hysterical.
So good. That's fantastic. I would have to point to a lot of kind of points along the way that made me think, wow, this is amazing. I wish at first it becomes a wish, right? For me anyway, like I wish I could do this. And then you kind of start to think, well, actually, yeah, maybe I can. And the most concrete one that I can point to is my previous book. I had actually written it completely as a memoir, the experiences of what it was like for me to be undocumented, and all of those feelings while I was a teenager. And I was trying to sell it as a memoir, and it wasn't going anywhere. And I went to a pitch conference in New York City, and you had to, like, the most terrifying thing for an introvert, like you had to sit at a round table with 8 other people and an agent and tell them what your story was about. Like, anyway, so and you had to go from table to table doing this in front of multiple strangers. And then one of the agents, a YA agent, said to me, I think part of the challenge that you're having is a lot of the tension, a lot of the a lot of the story happens when this protagonist, this main character that you're writing about, is a teenager, and so I think it's YA. And I was like, what? And like it just didn't process for a long time, like not, I mean, for months, not years, but anyway. But and then I read Laurie Hall Sanderson's Speak, and I was like, oh, like it can be this perfect and this sublime. Like I only wish I could get there, right? So probably what finally put me on the path of like, oh yes, I understand. My voice is YA. A lot of the stories I want to tell are YA. Was reading Laurie Hall Sanderson.
Oh, such great authors and great books. Okay, another question coming through from Janelle. Who was your favorite character to write about, not including the main character in your novel?
The love interest. I loved writing Mauro. He was, I might have even enjoyed writing him a little bit more sometimes because he was not as sort of angsty and conflicted as Carmen. And he just had the same sort of quirky, goofy sense of humor that I wish I'd known a boy like that when I was younger. So I sort of let myself make him as swoony as I could possibly think of it. So it was fun.
I'm going to totally cheat and say all three of the college students that Izzy meets who help get her into the comedy scene. And I just loved writing their interactions because it was like going back to college in that way and remembering just what my friendships were like. And I think that having sort of like college set YA is something that I love, and I'd love to see even more because just that transition period is so interesting to write about, where you are adults. These people technically are adults, but they're also very young and they're still almost kids too.
Oh, sorry, you go.
No, go ahead.
It was just, the awkward silence. You feel like you need to fill it, right? So I loved writing. There's when Anna comes over, she gets put in an ESL class, an English as a second language class. And I did not have that. So I always like to tell people I wrote the ESL teacher I wish I'd had. And so writing the ESL teacher was a lot of fun because he's a young teacher and he's just kind of figuring it out. And so he tries stuff and he experiments. And so that was a blast. I really liked him.
It's hard for me to narrow down, but I think probably Lenore for me. She's just such a big personality and just very funny, and that was made her fun to write. So yeah, now writing the second book now through her point of view, that was such a joy to write last year because I got to kind of like go under the surface of this like big personality she puts on and kind of dive into like who she really is. So my editor told me to write. My editor gave me the idea to write a book through her perspective, and it was the best idea.
Editors are always right.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, love that. This is going to be our last question that we have time for this evening, and it's from Ashley. If you could live anywhere for a year and write a book in that setting, where would that be? Oh, this is a great question. Imagining life post-pandemic.
Yeah, my basement as opposed to my bedroom.
So my second book actually takes place on a Mediterranean cruise. And I wrote it last year. I wrote it in the spring of summer of 2020. And I was actually supposed to go to like I had a trip planned where I was going to go to all the places that they go to in the book. But obviously I didn't. I just wrote it all from my house. But I would love to go to all the places that I got to explore in this book, maybe one day.
So about a year before the pandemic, I went to Venice and we went to dinner at I like to call him a pirate, but he billed himself as a sailor who cooked. He just cooked for people in his house. It was fantastic. And so I want to go spend a year in Venice and find him again. And maybe, that will inspire. And he's probably like, hey, what are you talking about? I have a girlfriend or whatever. But he did not at the time anyway. So I'm gonna find my pirate, and then there's a book.
So that would be like a love connection, basically. Is that it?
I don't know.
We need to make this happen.
I know.
I think I would go to Australia or New Zealand, because it's the farthest I can get away while still being able to speak in English every day, because I am not good with languages. No idea what book I would write there. I figure that can come later, right?
Yeah.
I would want to go back to California. I used to live there, and I just would love to be on the beach, bathed in sunshine, especially in January, so I could laugh at all of my Minneapolis friends who are shoveling snow. And I have no idea what I would write, but it would definitely have to have at least one party on the beach, because I feel like that's kind of a teen staple, and it's something I never got to do. So I would love to write that.
Yeah.
Come visit. Come visit after when you can.
I will.
Such a fun event. I'm glad we could do it. And thank you to the authors, Maria, Elise, Katy, Monica. It was so fun.
Thank you, Farrah. You were amazing.
Thank you.
And readers, thank you for being here, and your questions were awesome.
Yes,
Yes,
definitely.
great
Thank you
question.
So much.